And she's actually a classically trained vocalist. She has a master's on the University of Montreal on operatic singing, and she's also studied classical theater in London, and she's joining us from London to speak a little bit about her path as an artist. Right now, she has mostly a career in the pop music. She writes her own music. She does her own videos. And she also has a theater company called Esmond Road Productions, where she directs and she also acts for them. Donc bonjour tout le monde. Pour ceux qui n'étaient pas là tantôt, pour les difficultés techniques, je suis Don Adriano de la Scena Musicale. Et voilà, aujourd'hui, on aura avec nous l'auteur, compositeur et interprète Erica Lee Martin. Elle est une chanteuse entraînée surtout classiquement comme mezzo-soprano. Mais en ce moment, elle fait de la musique, elle compose de la musique pop, un peu pop électro, je l'appellerai de cette façon-là. Et puis là, elle est là avec nous ce soir. Ce soir.
Parce que le soir pour moi.
Ce soir pour elle. Pour parler de sa musique, de sa carrière, de sa trajectoire comme artiste. Je trouve que c'est une trajectoire très intéressante. On aura l'entrevue en français et en anglais. En même temps, on va essayer de mixer ça un peu. Mais bon, ça dépend. Je promets rien, ça dépend. Alors voilà, bienvenue Erica. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
So yes, I guess to start with, I'm going to start with a very easy question. What's your story so far?
Oh gosh. My story so far. Well, I'm going to try and tell this in a not boring way, but I grew up in a very musical family. My parents are both professional classical musicians and jazz. My dad does jazz as well, and my brother's very artistic. So it was just sort of, I started singing as I was starting to talk, so it's just always been something I wanted to do. When I was a teenager, I was writing songs. Alanis Morissette was my big influencer, Sarah McLachlan. I was listening to a lot of that kind of pop music at the time. And when I thought about what I would do for a career going into Cégep and university, I was like, well, I'm good at singing. That's what I'm good at. So I guess I'll do that. But there was no pop programs at that time. So I ended up going into jazz and then segueing into classical voice in Cégep because I really loved the drama of it. That was, I think a little part of me knew I wanted to be an actor as well. I quite liked, being there in front of an audience and telling the story visually and emotionally as well. So yeah, I did opera for 10 years and I thought, this is what I'm wanting to do. But towards the end, so just after I finished my master's at University of Montreal, I thought, well, I was feeling really, frustrated, I suppose, because it's really hard to be a young mezzo-soprano. There's just not a lot of repertoire for someone with my voice type. I mean, I was going to be I have a big voice. I was going to be probably a contralto when I got older. And so the repertoire, I couldn't sing Mozart very well. So there was just not a lot that I was able to do. Everything that I was going to be singing was stuff I was going to probably be singing professionally in like 10 years. So when you're, 27, it just felt like a long road and I wasn't winning auditions. So I thought I'm going to just go and do something else that I've always wanted to do. And that was to be an actor. So I auditioned for Lambda, one of the greatest drama schools in the world, in London, and got in. And so I thought, okay, this is a sign. I've gotten in. I'm going to go. Of course, it makes sense that as I decided to go, I started winning opera auditions. But anyway, I went, I did my master's there, and then I started, a funny thing happened where I was working as like an entertainer for kids' birthday parties and stuff, as you do when you're out of school and you're trying to work as an artist. And I lost my voice. It was like my first sort of laryngitis or something. I lost my voice for a couple of weeks and it was really awful. Like I'd been sick before, I've sung operas where and I had, a really bad flu, but I was still always able to sing. So for me to lose my voice like that was really terrible. And I started writing songs again. I started writing really easy numbers that I could sort of just barely get out of my voice. And then I just started doing it again. So it was, I took this really long break, and then I just all of a sudden had this musical knowledge that I had accumulated over the last 10 to 12 years. And my songwriting skills were just better for having done all that training and done all that listening and experiencing music. So that's what I'm doing now. And I'm acting as well, but this is the main thing that I'm doing, really.
All right. Let me, something happened here, as you can notice. I'm crooked there. Let me just take a little second to try to fix this thing. I don't know what happened there.
The joys of the live stream. I know it
Oh,
well.
yeah. It's like, my God, it's always something. Always driving me crazy.
I've got like several different size boxes that I put my computer on for these kinds of things, and there's none that's just perfect,
No, it's just, I had this working. It's the first time that it goes wrong, but it's really going wrong. Okay. All right, thank you.
There we go.
You can see my bed. I don't want that. Okay, great. Malay. I know what happened. Okay. Now I know what happened. What's happening? Oh, thanks God. All right, thanks. Thanks everybody for surviving that and yeah. So to continue on. So this so you mentioned you lost your voice. This was about like in when you were in England already.
Yeah, I was I had been there for a year and a half or something like that.
Okay, and how, I mean, how that came to be to move there? Was it really just to study the theater, or it was really you needed? It was more than that. The decision that came to me, because I mean, you were in Canada, you were doing okay in my very far from you type of view. So
Yeah.
I mean, what caused that?
You're right. Like I said, it was sort of I started to do well just as I was abandoning it. I did I did a lot of really great things. Like the last thing I did was I did Yeji Baba and Versalka in Halifax, and that was like, God, such an amazing dream role, and my voice was just on top. Like I felt really great. My voice was doing great, but I'd already made these plans to go to London, and I think I remember, it was the fall of 2013, and I was just feeling really like I was behind, like I was running out of time in my life, and I wasn't doing everything that I wanted to do, and I felt like I had more in me than just trying to win auditions for opera, because a lot of your time is spent practicing and then doing admin and auditioning, but the rest of your time is just I just didn't know what to do with myself, and I just felt like I wasn't there were creative things I wanted to do that I wasn't doing, and I wasn't being feeling fulfilled as a creative person. So I decided to do this. I don't know what told me that I wanted to do acting, but I maybe it was just because I had been doing operas that required a lot of. I know what it was, actually, now that I'm talking about it. I did Dialogue des Carmélites the year before. Yes. And I was playing the first prioress, who, spoiler alert, dies. Unlike everyone else in that opera, but she dies sort of in the middle of the opera, just before the middle of the opera, and it's a really long, big sing, and it's very big emotionally. And first of all, I was like 26 playing like an older lady. She probably wasn't that old in reality, but she was much older than me, going through things I haven't gone through. And it was, as much as I did well and people enjoyed it, I felt as an actor, like I was doing things to get into character that probably weren't very healthy. Like I remember lying in my own bed at night and trying to imagine how, trying to sleep. I should be trying to sleep, but I was imagining how it was like to be her, and dying of cancer, and worrying so much about her her nuns, her following, and her girls, and the country. And so that's just not the best way to act. It's really unhealthy. And so I think part of me was thinking about that and how much I enjoyed working on that piece and working on the drama of it and telling that amazing story with that beautiful music. But not really doing myself a service, because it's hard. It's hard to do those kinds of things when you're not trained. I don't know if I'm explaining that part well, but
well, if you can explain why is that wrong to think like that when you're gonna act?
Because you need to draw the line between you and the character, because otherwise you start to think like the character. And when it's a character that is experiencing a lot of really trying, like difficult, sad, depressing things, it's that mentality creeps into your life. So you feel a bit like you are living those experiences, and it can make you sad. And a lot of us, I mean, I've done Carmelites twice now, and every time all of us were really, really sad. And it wasn't just because it's a sad show. Like we would get off stage and just weep, because it's hard to remove yourself from that character. And you want to, as an actor, you want to healthily do it. You do want to be able to just take off. It's like putting on a hat, and you want to be you. And then you go, okay, I'm going to be the Pyrus now. And you put your hat on, and then you take 20 minutes or whatever it is to sort of get into character. And then at the end of rehearsal or at the end of the show, you want to take it off and be you again, and not carry the baggage of the character with you, especially when it's so dark.
So it's not right for the person, not really like it could pay off as an actor, like doing a good job, but not as a person. That's
I mean, people in Hollywood do it all the time.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going. Like I have heard many actors like, this guy, who was the guy? Is it Jim Carrey? I don't know who it is. That the guy couldn't. He was an asshole to everybody during the production because the character was an asshole, and he wouldn't disconnect from it. So people
might have been talking about Jared Leto.
Is him? I don't know who I'm talking about, but
there's a few people who are like method actors, and they'll just they'll go and live in a bunker for 2 months because that's what their character did, and then alienate their entire family. And it's like, you're not, at some point you're not acting, you're just being somebody else.
Yeah,
like it's at the cost of potentially lots of relationships that are important. So.
Yeah, at one point, I guess at one point, are they conscious, these people? Are they doing this on purpose too? Like, like just to profit that their job is an actor?
Could be.
Kind of.
Could be. I have known.
Kind of live another life a little bit,
I would be surprised. I know people who have a bit of that in them.
Anyway, so right now we've gone from here in Montreal studying opera, now theater. Then how did it really started about rap? Because now if you guys visit her website, there's a lot of stuff going on, videos. You're up to your second album now. So how did that really started coming to fruition? The pop compositions and the videos and all that.
Well, I like pop music. I had been listening to it I a lot, I guess, but I like a lot of different stuff. I grew up listening to jazz, so I've always got a bit of jazz in my head. Obviously, I've got lots of classical music, and pop was something that really influenced me as a songwriter. And I guess so making that transition wasn't too weird, I suppose, because I just sort of always been singing it. And I even remember having voice teachers who were like, I can tell you've been singing pop music You know,
Oh, really?
like I would go into my lessons and sing a certain way, and they'd be like, "I can tell you've also been singing pop music." And I'll be
I
like,
think they are full of crap.
I know, right? I know. I was so gullible when I was young. I thought, oh no, you can hear it. But also, you know, but as a singer, like as a classical singer, melody is our main thing. We're all about melody, and pop is about melody. So my main focus when I'm writing a song is the melody. So it just sort of makes sense that would be my genre, I think.
Yeah. How would you qualify your music? As like, if we have to categorize it, I know it's a little bit of a pain.
If we had to, I'm still learning about all these subgenres. I mean, it's pop for sure, but I mean, you could say indie pop, electro pop is probably close, but like I said, some of my numbers are not that. Like I've got, you know, one of the songs on the new album is very jazz, and you know, one of it's very well. It's one of the songs is entirely spoken word. So I would say mostly pop or electro pop, but definitely indie, independent. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, so I think this is a good segue to present maybe a first number from you, because of I thought when you say it's clear to me what you said about that the melody is the main thing for you. So I wanted to show this piece that actually the melody I found, I chose it because of the melody. I found it very beautiful, and it's a song Through the Storm. It's really sort of, I don't know, there's a drama to it that is sort of operatic too.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm making too much of it, but that's how it sounds to me.
You're totally right. Creeps in there, you know.
Yeah, so can you talk a little bit about it, and what can people listen into it that we wouldn't notice if you didn't tell us, kind of thing?
Ooh. Well, I would say maybe that my voice is not the only voice present in that one. There's a lot going on, and stuff you would probably need to hear maybe a second time to pick up on it. But yeah, listening out for more than just my voice is probably important. And yeah, whether that can be a vocal one or not, if you know what I'm saying. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like. Yeah, like
presence or something.
You mean that for the what is it a real cello at the beginning, or a
no? It should be.
It should be okay. It's a synthesizer.
Yeah, it's a synth. All of my stuff is, well, that for that album for sure. Anyway, everything was done like synthesized, because I didn't have the means to get anybody into a studio.
Yeah, I know for sure.
Yeah, so I try to make it sound as like not bad as possible.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna be imitating
because I noticed when you say there's a kind of choir type of writing for when the cellos come in, or the synthesizers, like boom, it sounded to me a little bit like vocal music, classical vocal music. The way it was composed.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's listen to that video. It's Through the Storm. I think it was released last year.
This music video, I guess a year and a half ago. But yeah, it's from an album from 2018.
All right. So here we go. Through the Storm by Erica Lee Martin, composer, singer-songwriter.
I call to you through a window. I call to you through the rain. I call to you through a window. I call to you through the rain.
You don't know what you're doing.
I threw your name across the table. I wrote your name in the sand. I threw your name across the table. I wrote your name in the sand. My time was up, the tide was in, and you can't see me through the storm. In these boots I holler, in this mask I breathe in and out and into this life.
All right, and that was Erica Lee Martin. She's here with us, talking about her stuff, her music, her art, and her trajectory. Don Adriano, that was Through the Storm, one of her previous videos. A year and a half ago, it came out. Bravo is really, I love it. That's maybe my favorite song. It's that one in the dark, because I have a kind of gothic side too.
Yeah, I was gonna say you've got a goth side to you. That doesn't surprise me. So dramatic. Right?
No, I used to be growing up. My favorite bands were like Pantera, Marilyn Manson, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, it's not that much in the dark as them, but it's kind of that kind of The Cure. It makes me think of The Cure, that type of more 80s kind of glam.
Yeah, it's yeah, that was in the dark as was my Halloween attempt, you know, because I don't love horror movies. I get scared very easily, but I do like to make that kind of stuff. I think it's fun and interesting. So
yeah. And so can you tell us about what's the this last video through the dark through the
storm
storm? I always forget. What is the lyrics about? It seems like it's about breakup or something. I couldn't really fully get it yet.
That's okay. I mean, yeah, I don't tend the way I write lyrics, either I write something that's so obvious. Like one of my newest songs, the first line is, "I drank more wine when I knew you than any other time in my life." Like, that's very obvious. There's nothing behind that. It doesn't mean something else. So either I write something very obvious, or I write something pretty like obscure, like it's just very like, I want to say poetic, but it's just kind of vague. So this song, Through the Storm, I was inspired to write it actually after watching one of my favorite films, Arrival. And just that movie is so brilliantly, it's so visually stunning. And I think I was just, I was inspired by the visuals, I think, just to write those lyrics. And as I was working on it and as I was conceptualizing the music video, I think the lyrics sort of became about something else. So yeah, I have a friend of mine who's also a songwriter. She was talking about how when she writes songs, it's almost like she doesn't know what they're about until it's done being written. And I think that's probably what happened with this one. So to me now, it's about having trouble communicating.
Okay.
and feeling like there's a barrier between you and, the person you're talking to or the person you're trying to connect with. And for some people it's more intense than for others, and it can take different shapes, forms, I suppose.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just like a language barrier, and sometimes it's just, you're run down, you're tired, and then sometimes it's hearing actual other voices, or it's feeling so incredibly anxious that you can't hear your own thoughts, and I struggle a lot with anxiety, and I think that this was sort of ended up being a way of expressing that, I think.
So you show, okay. So you show there, for example, one of the last images was a person, like the girl there in front. I'm guessing of a family member or a boyfriend. I don't know, and he's on the cell phone. And that brought me, and now that you're talking about this brings me to think about social media nowadays and cell phones and all that, and communication. Is it really because and anxiety too? Because I feel like there's a double edge to it, since there is supposed to be a communication means to have the cell phone, to have all this, and it's turning also into being a blockage for communication, I guess. So I wanted to know what your opinions of social media and communications is. Is it really viable tools for communicating correctly, or what do you feel about that?
That's a good question. I think we're all sort of faced with that problem of social media right now. A lot of us feel like it's essential in some ways. Like my parents, my family, and my good friends from back home, obviously they live really far away, and I rely on social media to communicate with them, and to just see what they're up to. Like whether we're not speaking every day, or even if I just get to see what's happening, what they've done on the weekend or whatever, it makes me feel like I am connected. And in terms of my business as a singer, I say business because I'm like business, show business. It is essential too, especially now because there's no live gigs, or there are not a lot of them. So, and people, I'm still like expanding my fan base, right now. So I have to get my stuff out there, and social media is the best way. Is the way to do it right now. So that comes with its own kind of anxieties, because you're always having to be like, this is what I'm doing, here's what I'm doing, here's my new this, and just shove it in people's faces, and that makes you feel like, ugh, I hate myself. But it's kind of important. That's like advertising, like you want to go see a movie because you see the advert for it many times in a row, and that's how it works. But I think also, and just getting back to like, seeing the statuses of your friends on Facebook, or seeing their perfect pictures on Instagram, I or not so.
Everybody's beautiful on Instagram. Ian,
I know. Well,
I have that 6-pack in Instagram. Check it out.
It's me too. But it's I try to. I mean, she says this with a full face of makeup on, but I try to. I try to break that a little bit, especially with my music, and I like to try and be honest, and even when that's like imperfect, when it shows an imperfect picture of me. I remember my mom being like, you write a lot of songs about, how you're drinking whiskey, or you're drinking, and I was like, well, sometimes that's what I was doing when the story, like if the story is about a time when I was having some wine, or, and oftentimes it's you don't know what it's going to be that's going to inspire you to write a song. So I'm like, well, I'm just telling it like it is, you know what I mean? And so when I'm talking about, my relationships, I'm either going to be, like I said, really vague, or very honest.
Yeah.
So I do wish that people were more honest on social media, because, I look at I look at my peers, my fellow singers or songwriters, musicians, and a lot of whom look like they're doing super well. And then I remember one person in particular, I talked to them, after feeling almost like a jealousy, like, oh God, they're doing so well. Like, I wish I could be doing this. This was years ago. And then I talked to them in person, and they were like, I'm really struggling. I don't know what I'm doing in life. I feel really sad, and I feel like I'm doing the wrong thing and all this stuff. And I was like, it doesn't seem like that on social media. And that's just kind of sad because so many people struggle. It's just a part of life. So I think it's important to communicate those imperfections with others, because then you even more than in any other way that social media is trying, you feel a sense of community, because you're like, somebody else is experiencing what I'm experiencing. And I had a friend say that to me about Through the Storm. They were like, this really spoke to me. And my intention was just to put a nice piece of art out there. But like, if I'm speaking to someone, it's like another level. It just makes it all worth it. And it also makes me feel like I've got friends like in the community. I think you feel that way too. I thought it was just me, so yeah, just try. I would like there to be like a little bit more, honesty, because then we can communicate a bit.
Well, I guess there are some, it depends on where you go, there's both extremes. I find it's difficult because the anonymity of it also makes people very judgmental and sometimes aggressive too. Like, we're seeing it more like maybe social media such as Facebook or Twitter.
Yeah,
it's
Twitter
a
actually.
lot of people like just fighting and being real, but I mean, I don't think most of the people would tell that things like that, awful like that, to my face, or to the face of anybody that they are criticizing or whatnot,
Yeah.
We're seeing it a lot right now with the thing with the COVID and what's right and what's wrong, and well, I guess my message to people is be kind, first of all. We all can judge, but we don't know what the circumstances of other people are. I think that's the important thing to think before in social media, for commenting to about anyone or criticizing. Myself, I have a brother. I have to tell he's he's been like, oh, this COVID-19, this is all fake news and it's all a created thing. It's a conspiration, and I mean, it's my brother, so I kind of had a little bit of an argument of social media with him, but I thought, like, no, you know what, we're not gonna fight on this, like it's not for me to judge where his position or not should be,
Yeah, that's another kettle of fish, I think, once you're dealing with but that's another, yeah, that's, I suppose, either being too honest or being dishonest. Like you said, you wouldn't say that to a person walking down the street necessarily. So that's kind of pretending like you're something you're not as well. It's, yeah, sometimes Twitter can be a really hilarious place, and sometimes it can be a hellscape.
No, it's really, I mean, anyways, I think it's interesting. It's an ongoing thing, and I for artists particularly, now that you were talking about social media and internet and being an artist and internet and all that, I don't know if you've seen, but I'm kind of leaning against Spotify, against this kind of services, Facebook, all that, in the sense that as an artist, I feel like a lot of artists are putting their music for free in these services, or for very little, like very little. And my question to you is, you're putting yourself out there all the time. How do you feel about this, and why are you doing this if it's a very little payoff,
Oh God, I ask myself that question like every day. Every day I get up and I check my email and I'm doing my little admin and I'm like, God, why am I doing this? That's really important to note. A lot of people, when they use Spotify in particular,
Yeah.
They don't realize how little artists get paid. And you can look on someone like Ariana Grande's, list of her songs, and her songs have like 100 million plays, streams. That's great. She doesn't need the money. But then you look on somebody who's, just starting out, or someone who's not as popular, and they don't have a lot of streams, and that means that they're not getting any money for their work. I think I don't know how many streams I had, but I think like for my first album, I think I yielded something like $30 from streams in like a year and a half. And
that's what producing an album cost. You didn't know that?
Oh yeah, it only costs like $20. So I netted $10. But so actually, and so I would like to steer away from Spotify, and I think for my personal use, I'm trying to use other things. Apple Music pays better. Deezer pays much better. And Bandcamp is the one that I've sort of been championing a lot. Bandcamp is a place where you can buy the album, download it, and listen to it whenever you want. And you can also set the price. So I set the price whenever I put the album on. I don't usually charge more than $1 per song, because that's sort of standard. But people can pay however much they want. They can donate, and so that's what I was pushing with the first album, Out of the Playground, was I was saying, do Bandcamp, because then I'll actually get the money, And I did, and I did make I made a tiny bit of profit doing that album because of Bandcamp, and I got meanwhile $30 from Spotify. But I think probably a lot of companies, maybe journalists, producers, I don't know, will look at your Spotify streams and go, oh, well, you don't have that many, so I'm not going to include you. Same thing as like, you don't have enough Instagram followers, so I'm not going to invest in you. Which doesn't really mean anything. It just, it doesn't negate your talent. It just means that you don't necessarily have the time to be pushing yourself on social media 24/7. Like right now I'm furloughed at my job, so I would be working, but I can't work right now. So I'm doing my music all the time, all day, and it's really difficult. It's next to impossible to get as many followers or streams as you maybe want. It just takes time when you're starting out. So I mean, I would still encourage people to buy albums if they can, or to do their research and find the best platform that they think serves the artists. Like
Bandcamp, in your opinion, is one of them.
I think so, yeah, because the artists, there's a small amount of money that goes to the company. Yeah. So someone bought my song the other day for $40, and I got 33 of it. Do you know what I mean?
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, compared to like Spotify, if someone listens to my song 40 times, I get 0.01 cent or something.
Yeah. So but what do you think is there a solution for this kind of thing? Do you think Spotify is going to move on to be more responsible about this?
I think no. I think Spotify really pride themselves on their algorithms. Yeah. Like a lot of social media does. And the thing is, I've discovered a lot of really great artists because of Spotify, because they suggest things that they think I'm going to like, and a lot of times they're right. And I'm grateful for that. But I just don't think that paying those guys' salary should be more important than paying the artists.
Yeah,
do you know
exactly.
What I mean?
Yeah,
and I think that's what it comes down to.
Right. All right. So talking about that now, continue on. Lately, I guess it's because also you have been less busy in your day job. I guess you've been doing a lot of live streams. Mm-hmm. So how has been the response to that? What have you learned about that? And a little bit the perspective from that.
It was a new thing. I love performing. I love performing in front of an audience. So I definitely miss that. So this was a fun way of doing it. It was a bit weird. I remember the first one, I probably just talked because I was like, oh, what am I doing? But you feel them there, and they're chatting with you, and you're like, oh, you're watching me. I feel like you're in the room. And so when you can't see people, it's really nice. I learned a couple of things. I did get a new mic, which sounds marginally better than my computer. Yeah. So, setup is kind of an important thing. Next step is to add like a proper camera, but oh God, I'll figure that out one of these days. And I've just gotten better at guitar.
Great. Yeah, you have to accompany.
I have because I don't have I don't have anybody to play with me. So I learned guitar when I was in high school. So when I was making my own music when I was between the age of 15 and 19 or whatever it was, and then just put it away. And then when I started doing a couple of live gigs in London, I picked it up again, and I was so nervous. I was like, oh, I don't know how. It's hard, and it takes me a long time. I'm just not coordinated enough, so it just takes me a while to learn songs.
Yeah.
So I was putting that barrier in front of myself. But it's just because I was doing it every Friday or every other Friday, I had to prepare stuff, and I was getting much better. So I feel more confident, and I think that's something that really helps you with is the confidence to just do the work, and even if it's not ready 100%, just put it out there and see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so I think you have prepared today something for us, and so people can experience a little bit of what you do in your live streams. Do you have an upcoming live stream, actually?
I will do. You'll have to check my website when I'll announce it properly. But my newest song, "Take My Picture," just came out on Friday, and that one will have a music video attached. So I'm working on that now. So in the next couple of weeks, I'll do like a launch for that music video. And going back, I think you wanted to do a number today by folk singer Johnny Mitchell. Johnny Mitchell, yeah.
And then after that, we will continue. If you have any questions, by the way, si vous avez des questions, tu vois, j'ai oublié le français aussi, mais if you have any questions, si vous avez des questions, n'hésitez pas les poser dans le chat. Je peux les regarder ici à ma gauche pendant qu'elle fait son numéro live. She's going to do a song by Johnny Mitchell, and then a little bit talk about her influences. Donc, elle va faire une chanson de Johnny Mitchell et après, on va parler des influences. Si vous avez une question encore, surtout en français, qu'on n'a pas parlé dernièrement en français, vous pouvez la poser et puis on fera la question pour Erica, on passera. Ou si vous avez une question pour moi, je ne sais pas qu'est-ce que je pourrais dire, mais... Donc, so here's Erica with Johnny Mitchell. What's the song?
It's called A Case of You.
A Case of You, yeah.
A Case of You.
Very, very popular song for Johnny Mitchell fans and Canadians too. I think a lot of them know this song.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite song in the whole world. So I'm going to take my headphones off.
All right. I'll be here to the left checking your comments or your questions.
Okay. Just before our love got lost, you said, I am as constant as a northern star. And I said, constantly in the darkness, where's that at? If you want me, I'll be in the bar. On the back of a cartoon coaster, in the blue TV screen light, I drew a map of Canada, oh Canada, with your face sketched on it twice. Oh, you're in my blood like holy wine. You taste so bitter and so sweet. Oh, I could drink a case of you, darling, and I would still be on my feet. Oh, I would still be on my feet. Oh, I'm a lonely painter. I live in a box of paints. I'm frightened by the devil, and I'm drawn to those ones that ain't afraid. I remember that time you told me, you said love is touching souls. Surely you touched mine, 'cause part of you pours out of me in these lines from time to time. Oh, but you're in my blood, you're my holy wine. You're so bitter and so sweet. Oh, I could drink a case of you, darling, and I would still be on my feet. Oh, I would still be on my feet. I met a woman, she had a mouth like yours. She knew your life, she knew your devils and your deeds, and she said, go to him, stay with him if you can, but be prepared to bleed. Oh, but you are in my blood, you're my holy wine. You're so bitter, bitter and so sweet. Oh, I could drink a case of you, darling, and still I'd be on my feet. I'd still be on my feet. That's my Joni Mitchell.
Bravo. I'm sorry I did like that because I heard like a tenor. I don't know. I'm hallucinating.
You heard a tenor voice?
Yeah, I had a tenor voice, right? Actually, two things. That last chord, I didn't expect that chord particularly.
I know.
I was. Oh,
I did it on purpose. It sounds like a mistake, but it's in the song.
No. But it sounds good. But I didn't expect it. Like I was like, whoa, and then I heard a tenor voice. I don't know what's happening to me.
It was probably my dad, like singing along, like through the internet.
Hey, bravo! That was beautiful, Erica. By the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, really nice. And actually, I wanted to talk about this. I didn't ask this before when you open a little bit the window, but I guess now is the time. As a classical singer, do you notice really a difference singing even this song? Do you really try to do something different when you sing classical? What's the difference?
Yes, it is different. Yeah. My voice, the way I like to sing, and I guess it would is my normal voice when I'm singing pop is does sound trained. I think it's, it sounds, I don't know whether people will be like, yeah, she definitely was an opera singer, but it almost sounds, because when I was growing up, the person I wanted to sound like most was the Little Mermaid. Like I wanted to
like
have a voice
from Disney.
Yeah, I wanted to have a voice like hers. That was like my end goal. And not to toot my own horn, but I don't think I realized that was my end goal until it happened. And I remember like 5 or 6 years ago, right before I left, I went to London. I sang that song on Facebook. It was like a challenge or something. You had to do a song that you liked growing up or whatever. And I sang, part of your world, part of that world. And I was like, oh God, I sound like even better than her. And I had this very like, I had this moment of like, oh, I sound really good. And then I was like, you know what, I'm done. I think I've accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish. That's it. I just wanted to sound as good as Jodie Benson, and I do. But like, so that's what I think what I wanted to sound like, and I'm happy I sound kind of like a Disney princess at times, I suppose.
That's a quotation there for me.
But but you know, that's kind of like musical. It's also like musical theater. It's a bit like, so I think I live in that world where, rather than necessarily opera, but like maybe that musical theater voice meets the pop voice.
Yeah.
I will change my voice depending on what I'm doing. Like I'm working on a cover right now that really sort of asks for this kind of thing and very like dark and very, you know, and so I like to do those kinds of things when it's necessary and when I think it serves the song, but sometimes it doesn't. So,
yeah.
And you know, when it's my own music, I call the shots. So I just do whatever I feel like.
That's the fun of it, yeah.
But technically speaking, like in terms of my technique, pop is easier in a way, because I don't feel like I necessarily have to be like supporting all the time, and you know, I can get away with doing a bit less, but it still asks a lot of you. And I think that coming back into it, I didn't realize how much it asks of you until I felt like I couldn't do stuff I wanted to do.
Okay.
And that's when I started to practice more and just take a bit more responsibility, because it's an instrument and I have to practice it. And if I want to do the things that I know I can do, I need to be in shape. And that's one of the things that just is a universal truth, no matter what genre you're singing in. You have to be in shape.
Yeah. So, okay. So talking about that, have you changed your regimen from where you were aspiring classical singer and a mezzo soprano to now? Like, do you do the same things, vocalizings, or do you practice at all like that, or it's just you do the songs and that's how you get it?
I used to. I think until recently I was doing like a lot of the same exercises that I normally was doing in opera. And then I just started singing songs, but I think that was mostly because I was playing guitar. So I was it was more that I felt more like I was practicing guitar. Like that was so if I wrote in my to-do list for the day, practice, that usually meant practice guitar. And when I'm practicing guitar, like I always will sing. I rarely just practice the guitar.
Okay.
Like I always sing too, and because you know it's the balancing act that I'm trying to get better at. So I think that sort of started to become my routine, just by singing the songs. And I won't sing. There's certain songs I won't sing first. Like A Case of You is actually a great song to warm up to because it sits in this key. It just sits perfectly in my range. So it's a really nice song for me to warm up to. I sang. What was it? I sang a Janelle Monáe song the other day I also sang a Rufus Wainwright song that I sang, the Cigarettes and Chocolate Milk. I did at my last live stream. Oh God, what a sing that is. So like, you know, even as a pop singer, and definitely for Rufus, that was difficult for him. Yeah. I don't start with that one because I don't want to hurt myself. So I will start with something easy, just like you would in vocal warm-ups. You start with something that's not super complicated, and then you'd work up to something that has a bit more range or that needs more of the mask or whatever it is.
Yeah, I've noticed by listening to you, I've noticed really, I ask, is it the same? Because the choices you make in terms of timbre are, to me, are very similar to what the choices would be as a classical singer.
Okay.
It's just that maybe, I don't know, that's what I noticed, not from my ear. It's just that maybe you don't support in the way that you keep the breath so much. You let it be a little bit more, less resonant in a way because you have a microphone. So, yes, I've noticed like you tend to sing in head voice most of the time. That's for your pop. And that's what to me would sound like she has like a classical background type of training.
I think I know now what you mean. So because when you're talking about pop singers, like traditionally, and I mean contemporary pop singers, Joni Mitchell is in a place of her own, but when you're talking about like contemporary pop singers, they sing from the chest voice, as we would say. Is that what you mean? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So I'm a mezzo, so I live to marry the chest voice and head voice. Like that's what I worked on the most, and I was, you know, I really forced myself to work on that. I didn't want you to hear my break, so you don't.
Yeah.
So I am using chest voice, but they really hang out together a lot. My chest voice and head voice. but yeah, you can tell that I've been trained because I don't have to do those jumps or whatever. I don't even know if I can sing solely in chest voice anymore. I honestly, and I don't want to. I don't want to be belting like.
I think
like,
for a lot of mezzos, that's like a very traumatizing experience when they try it. I say because my girlfriend is a mezzo too.
I know she knows.
She can sing in chest, but she's like, "Oh, you tenors have to sing like that." It's like, no, I don't want to sing like that every time, you know. It's a little bit different, the mechanism, but it's funny because it's kind of similar, the mechanism of the voice between a tenor and a mezzo soprano. It's kind of like what you're saying, that you have to marry those two voices, the head and the chest. But I mean, it's a man voice, so it's kind of more towards the chest. I think. Mm-hmm. Anyways, so I would like to now, like we talked a lot about your music, but we haven't talked yet about the theater that much. And you founded this company, you co-founded, I understand, called Esmond Road Productions. You have done how many? 2 productions this far?
Yeah, we did 2 productions. The last one we did was almost this time last year, so I started the company with my very best friend, Maria McKenna, who was an actor, and she trained in New York and lived in New York before she moved to London. We met at Lambda doing our master's in acting. And we decided to make this company because we wanted to give more opportunities for women and non-binary performers, because there's not a lot of roles for women as there are for men.
Oh, really?
And yeah, it seems
like in classical theater, you mean?
Yeah. And
I haven't never noticed that.
Well, it's funny because in opera, there's, everybody's a soprano. Like there's just a lot of, there's a soprano or a baritone. Like there's a lot of roles for women, not so much mezzos, but there's a lot of roles for women in opera. But in when you're talking about classical theater, no, because if you think about something like Shakespeare, if you take a play that everybody knows, like Macbeth or something. Yeah. Ha! Okay, that's my favorite play of Shakespeare's. So Macbeth has got 2 women in it, and like tons of characters, and they're all men. And his whole oeuvre is like that. Like there's a couple that have maybe a few more, but it's mostly. And a lot of stuff, like a lot of plays in that era, Jacobean plays, were like that, and that's what we studied. And because we were really passionate about that genre, we wanted to create a space where women could play characters that they never would have played before. So, and Shakespeare does write some very strong female characters.
Yeah.
But it's not quite the same as if you're, playing.
So wait, so what kind of work do you do? Because I mean, do you transform the character so it's a woman instead of a man, and you still take Shakespeare, or?
So we haven't done Shakespeare yet. I'm saying Shakespeare because that's what we studied mostly at school, and that was what gave us the idea. But in practice, we've actually we've done 2 Greek plays, and Greek plays have the same problem.
Okay.
And these are shows that are 2,000 years old, so they're old plays, and at least some of them. And so we sort of adopted that. So we took the first one we did was called Ajax, and it's about this warrior during the Trojan War who is essentially suffering from PTSD extremely badly, and it just goes horribly wrong. Everything just goes horribly wrong. It's a really devastating play, and seeing that with the cast, it was all female identifying performers, was very interesting, and it just allows, I think in some ways it allows the audience to see it allows them to see the show as they wouldn't have seen it otherwise, but also allows them to see the characters and see the plot of the show in a different way, because once you're seeing like a whole cast of women who are playing warriors, that's very different, because it's not something that you normally see, and it's not something that normally occurs for us, and then also seeing those women with their wives who are meant to be female and sort of like softer and and who aren't warriors and stuff, and changing that dynamic is very cool and interesting. And it also allows us more opportunities for women, because there are a lot of female performers. I'm throwing this word around, but I just mean like female identifying performers who don't who there are not enough jobs.
Yeah, okay.
And I just want to put more stuff on people's CVs so that they can continue to work. And so yeah, the last thing we did was the Bacchae, which is another one. It's a little bit more fun in places.
That's a Greek too?
Yeah, it's Greek as well.
Okay.
It's by Euripides, and it's about the Bacchus, so the Dionysus, the god of wine, and so obviously it's a bit more fun. Still devastating, but also very fun. So I was acting in both that and Ajax, and I was also writing music for it. So one thing we like to do is to put music in the shows to make it a bit different.
And what type of music? Like, how? If you can take us, because I didn't find much about like video wise. So, how did it look, and how like music? How, like an orchestra or?
No, oh my God! I wish I could afford an orchestra. No, you're right to ask. So we, I don't know. I'll sort of go with whatever the genre is if I'm going to be composing stuff. So, Ajax we made it so that it was very almost like tribal, I suppose, because this was meant to be, set in a sort of a dystopian future. Like everything around us has just been like bombed, and it's I say dystopian, that exists here now, but I guess because it was entirely female warriors, and it was in a non-place. We didn't commit to wherever it was going to be, and because the group of characters in the chorus, like in a Greek play, acts very much like a community, right? And so I just ended up doing sort of a tribal thing, and so we used drums. So the chorus, who were soldiers, would use drums, and also because drums, soldiers, So I tried to make sense of it and marry those two ideas. So we used drums, we used rhythm, and just a cappella. Which was great. I felt really bad because I made the chorus start on a major second without any reference note.
Oh my God.
But they did it. So it was really difficult. And I tried not to do anything that difficult ever again, but they did it. And it was beautiful. So I can send you some SoundCloud links. If you want
great. So you had a choir there.
No, I just had the performers. I had the actors.
You had this. Wow,
yeah.
okay.
So I say chorus, but it's a Greek chorus, which they're players, like they're actors.
Okay.
And so it was 4 of them, and they all sang different parts, and it just added something to it. And we also did like a almost like. There's a point in the play where Ajax really just has a meltdown, and her wife comes to her and sort of tries to calm her down. And what she does is she sings. She reminds Ajax of it's sort of a patriotic song. So it's like a song from their homeland because they're away from home. Mm-hmm. And so they start singing it almost like a lullaby to Ajax, and everyone starts to sing together. And that is more of it's like a rousing but kind of nostalgic number, because they're all missing their home, and that's one of the themes of the play. So, but then that all aside, when we did the Bacchae, that was set in a scene, like an underground club scene. So I wrote club music.
Yeah.
So that's very different.
Yeah, cool. And then what are you planning next?
Ooh, we have a couple of different things. One of the things we'd quite like to do is Medea. So yeah, people will know Medea. Yeah. So we were gonna do maybe the play for that. So I was working on a script, and Maria directed the last 2 plays, and I was in them. So we're gonna switch roles. So I'm gonna direct that one, and she'll be in it. So we'd like to do that. Obviously, it's we're not going to be able to until we're allowed to have productions. But we're right now we're exploring the possibility of doing online plays in some way. So
really,
so we'll see how it's going to work. I think because I edit my music videos, I do a lot of that stuff. So my plan is to basically film. It won't necessarily be live, but we can do like a live premiere of it or something, and we'll have to make it in. Not that it's going to be set in lockdown, but there's ways of making it set in a time where you're having to communicate this way.
Yeah, this way. Yeah.
So we're looking into that right now. That might be the future of Esmond Road for the next little while.
Oh, interesting. Well, it's we have to take what is there,
Yeah, exactly.
for the moment. Yeah.
Exactly.
So listen, let me check here. Actually, I'm checking. I haven't checked the comments still. So I just wanted to see if you have any comments for Erica, any questions. Si vous avez des questions pour Erica, des questions, des commentaires, n'hésitez pas à les poser maintenant. J'essaye de voir en ce moment. Il faut que je rentre dans le chat à voir ça. Ok, je vois. Your mom, I think, says good questions.
Okay, who is it? What?
Nora Lee. So thanks, Nora Lee. Is that your? No, your mom is Vivian. Huh?
Yeah, Nora's my aunt. She's my aunt.
Ah, so your aunt. So Nora, thanks a lot for tuning, passing by, and yeah, being with us. Nadine Benjamin, soprano, says she loves Disney too.
Yes. Thank you, Nadine. I mean, I feel like we should all kind of hate Disney a little bit because there's a massive corporation, but a lot of us.
Well, I mean, the guy is a genius. I mean, I don't know if you've seen any documentaries on him, but I mean, the original Disney guy. I mean, crazy talent, like, and so many ideas. It's like I don't know. He was blessed with,
That's sometimes that's what it takes to get things rolling.
Yeah. And what else I'm gonna say? Okay. I didn't see. You have many bravos for your song.
Oh, thank you, everybody.
And hi to my dad too. He's watching. Thanks for passing by, Dad. And again, if you have any questions, okay. Oh, okay. So Vivian actually came with a very interesting comment here. So she says, someone asked about whether albums are still relevant these days. So we were talking about a little bit about that, and I guess I wanted. Are they relevant?
Yes. I think so, and I think that because people are making them still, and people are still enjoying them. I'm not saying that social media or Spotify is like evil, but I think they're trying. But they are. No, I think they're trying to. They are sort of driving that train of instant gratification and stuff, which is why doing B-sides and doing singles, as they would be called in relation to an album, has become quite popular. So you're just like, I have the latest song, and it's easy. You don't have to wait for the album to come out. You don't have to download it. You can make your own album because you can make your own playlist and just put whatever you want on there. So I think it's less important to have an album in terms of what you need to market yourself, because I think but I was reading about this recently, and a lot of people lately have just been having like just singles, and then it'll be like a couple of years before they do an album, and it's just because their songs are popular and they don't need to have an album necessarily. But a lot of people, musicians that I know, it's their vision, it's what they want to put out there. I was going to do an EP, like my new the album I'm doing now was going to be an EP with 4 songs on it. And I thought about just releasing like one at a time, and people could make their own playlist of it and organize it in whatever order they wanted to listen to it in, so it could be their interpretation. And now I've sort of taken over creative control, of course, and I've made it into an album. So I know a lot of people who have done the same thing, and I know a lot of people who still love listening to albums
Yeah.
and love to hear, especially when an album is telling a story, like like a concept album.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's really beautiful to go through what the artist thinks is their journey. Because they're taking you on a journey when they're making an album. When they're doing a
Yeah.
single, the journey is short. It's just the length of the song. But when you're having a whole album, it's a whole experience. I hate to bring up Ariana Grande again because she doesn't need more money, but but her last album, Thank You Next, I think is really important for pop music because it told stories and it talked about things that pop music doesn't always talk about. And that is a journey. That album is a journey that you go on with her, and you really do understand her more, and you can. I related to a lot of those songs, and but I think about it in terms of how the songs relate to each other.
Yeah.
And that's really important to me. So I think they are relevant. I think that young people, they like to say, oh, it doesn't matter anymore because young people have short attention spans.
Yeah.
And therefore albums don't matter. But there's still old people,
Yeah.
including me in that.
No, they don't exist. They can die with corona.
No, but it's, like I'm including myself in that. Like, I still find I love listening to albums. It almost annoys me when someone has a single because I'm like, I want to hear the next one.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing is, okay, so I have a point about this because I've read a little bit of marketing and all this. What I've seen is that for a middle to small size artist, it doesn't make sense from financial. I'm not talking about art. I'm talking about
Okay.
really strictly financial aspect to release an album because, I mean, okay, 50 people buy it. So what? Like, are you going to really gonna be making money out of that? So you're putting one big thing, one big shot, and you're putting all your money in that bucket. And if the album doesn't really do an impact, you're kind of run out of bullets, out of marketing bullets.
Yeah.
A little bit. So when you put singles like one by one, it allows you to remarket every time yourself, saying a new thing, and to follow that instant gratification thing that you're talking about, that you're always giving a little treat to your public, always here's another one, and the video, and the little cover song. So maybe in that way you keep the audience more engaged, and you don't have to come up with this big effort that at the end maybe it's not going to pay out because you don't have the massive following that would allow you to make money in case they bought an album. And that's in case they buy it, because who buys the album now, so from a financial point of view, that's what I've kind of studied, and I kind of agree with it. I prefer albums. I prefer CDs even. Or I used to prefer. I'm being a bit hypocritical because I don't listen to CDs anymore. In fact, I listen to music in YouTube mostly, but it's all opera, so it's okay. I have my vinyls and I have but I guess from a financial point of view, that's what I've seen some people, experts, saying about that. I don't know if you agree with me or if you have any other pointers.
I mean, if money is an issue, like, just don't try and become a professional musician. And like, I say that I am trying to be a professional musician. I am one because I am making money, not a lot, of like almost nothing, like we talked about before. Thank you, Spotify. But I can't not make stuff. I want to do it all the time. It just comes out, and I love projects. I love, to me, it's like my babies. It's like, I think about the first time I remember coming home and writing through the storm, and I remember sitting on my floor and going through it and looking in the mirror and coming up with the lyrics and recording it on my phone and then watching it transform and writing and producing it and adding the sounds to it and recording over and over again, and then thinking about the music video. What would I want for the music video? And like, and watching it go on this journey, and like, okay, I know it's not going to make money because I don't have a huge following, but there's something so satisfying just putting stuff out there. And honestly, I can't not do it. So, you know, yes, it would be amazing if I could work as a professional musician and get paid for making music and making my music. That would be amazing. But it's not necessarily likely, but I think I'm just going to keep doing it. And if it happens, it happens. I'm going to keep, you know, spending tiny bits of money on marketing when I can, here and there and whatnot, because it's sort of necessary evil. And it's fun. I like marketing sometimes. But for me, I don't really care because I can't not do it. And right now I'm not going into a studio. Like if you have a band and you have to go into the studio and record every single thing, and I know that costs money and it's not ideal for everybody.
It's crazy,
but, yeah. But for me, I'm making it on my own with my with my app, and you know, and then I'm working with a producer at the moment, so we're sort of co-producing. He's helping me a bit on this album, which is wonderful. I'm so happy to have him. But I send him stuff over email. He does his little thing, sends it back. We have a little chat session. It's very easy and it doesn't cost me a lot of money. So
great.
It does kind of.
So everything you record, you do at home?
Yeah.
Okay, even the vocals.
Yes, so I will say though, however, that Out of the Playground, I recorded my vocals in somebody's studio.
Okay.
Just the vocals. Everything else was recorded at home, but you know, the production for that wasn't great. I didn't know how to mix or master, so I just did what I could. But this one is being professionally mixed and mastered. I am recording stuff at home. Yeah. But I'm happy for the vocals to sound a little bit filthy because it's homegrown. Why should I pretend that it's not? Like, I'm going to just own whatever sound I can manage.
Right. No, you start with whatever you can, and you move on like that. And okay, so can you take us through your process for not just recording, but let's say we begin today, you start writing a new song. So how does that typically happen? I know it can vary, probably it varies, but I mean, typically what do you do until it's a final product that you put there?
Yes, it definitely depends. I think, so there's two ways. The first way, and what I was relying on until last year, or this year really, last year, I was writing the music and the lyrics at the same time. So they would influence each other heavily. Okay. And maybe it's because I have very good muscle memory and that's how I learn. So maybe that's why I compose that way. But inspiration would hit, however it does. And I would start singing something with words. And when I was in high school, I would just sing it over and over again, write it down, sing it over and over again, write a bit more till I memorized it. Now I have a phone, so I just record everything on my phone. Yeah. So I don't have to remember every single little thing. So I've got tons of little songs on my voice memos I've not looked at in ages. They're just there waiting for me. So now I'll go through that process, but I'll record on my phone and then I'll write stuff down. And usually I will write a verse and a chorus in the first go. And then if I have the time or the inspiration, I will write the words to a second verse on paper. And usually because I need to take, I was going to say because I'm lazy. I'm not lazy. I am a perfectionist. I know I'm not lazy. I will usually leave it alone.
Okay.
And then weeks, maybe months later, write a bridge.
Oh, really?
Okay. If it needs a bridge, if it wants a bridge, then I will write a bridge. But usually that's the last thing I do. And it's under duress. I go, this song needs to be more interesting. I got to write a bridge. Dang it. So that's the process. And then I have to start producing it. So that means adding all my instrumentals. And that takes the most time, and it's the thing I'm worst at. I think I'm actually kind of good at it because my co-producers told me that, and he uses most of what sometimes he doesn't even touch the songs I give him. He just mixes them and says, this is great.
That's it, yeah.
But it takes the most time. I have to, less now than it used to, but it really requires a lot of inspiration, because that's the nice thing about having a band is you can just be like, this is my song, what do you think about it? And they'll be like,
yeah, exactly.
How about this riff?
Yeah.
And you're like, yes, let's use that, and so I'm having to play that person in my head. So I'm having to go, do I like this sound? No. Do I like this sound? No. Do I like this sound? Okay, now I come up with a riff. Okay, how about this? No, that's terrible. How about this? So it's that, and then that whole process takes a long time.
So how do you go about that? Like, you just start for the arrangements, you just start you jam like on GarageBand or Logic or any of these?
Yeah, I use GarageBand. I do. It is kind of like a jam, I suppose. Like, I think if something comes to me, like I have a riff in my head for a bass, I quite like using the instruments I use most often are synthesizer, some kind of drum kit, and bass.
Yeah.
And so if I'm inspired to write a bass line, I'll start with that. If I'm not, I will think about synthesizer sounds that I like, or I will start with a beat. So if I think I want it to be a certain style, I'll pick a drum kit that I think matches that style, and either do it manually, like bass drum, hi-hat, or whatever. This is me on my iPad, by the way, in case that wasn't clear. or you can sort of plug them in. Almost, it's not like writing music, but it's like you're plugging in the time of when it happens. So like first beat is this, second beat is rest, third beat is this sound.
Like you write
I create
it
a
MIDI.
pattern.
You use loops sometimes too?
Always.
Okay.
Always. That saves my life. But I know that that's boring. So my husband tells me that I need to change it up. So I've stopped using loop all the time. He likes a lot of he loves music, and he's got a really good ear, and he likes things to be interesting. So whenever he says that, I go, okay, fine, I'll go back and I'll try again. But yeah, that takes the most time. And then once I've sort of gotten that, I will record the vocals. And that takes a while because, like I said, I'm a perfectionist and I want things to be a certain way. That's the opera singer talking, by the way. I try to not want it, because you know how it is. You're in the practice room and you're like, I gotta get that perfect. Otherwise the teacher's gonna yell at me.
I would wreck my voice trying to do that. Like, it actually get worse when I start in that mode. It's like, and it has to be perfect, and then at the end you're just almost bleeding,
Yeah. And we all think that way. I think across the board, classical musicians have that. Anyway, so I try to just be okay with mistakes and that kind of thing. And then like I said, I send it to my co-producer nowadays to see what he thinks of it. He'll add stuff if he wants to. We'll have a conversation about it, mix and master, and then it's music video time.
Yeah, all right. And the music video, the same. Do you have a team for this, or it really is like a one woman operation?
I used to have a team, and I still do, really. It's definitely not a one woman operation. Now it is, in terms of like, mostly it is now because I'm alone. I'm not alone. I've got I've got my husband here, but I don't have people I would normally be working with. So I have a friend who is a filmmaker and a production designer, and she's a little genius, and she's helped me with most of my things, and she's shot several of the videos. I had another woman. She shot and was doing this like cinematography for the Through the Storm video, so that she was there for that. And then I have my performers, my actors who are in it. Some of them have been in a couple of things more than once, you might notice. If you've seen all of them, you'll be like, that's Maria again. Yeah, Shemping. So I really miss working with them, because having people, first of all, they're just so talented, and they help make it what it is. But also just being able to be in a creative space where you bounce ideas off each other, and you sort of encourage each other to keep going and to try things differently and to make it interesting. And right now, I'm having to rely a bit on myself, and I will speak to those guys. And Maria is going to be in some of the videos. Maria, who's the co-founder of Esmond Road.
Okay.
So she's shooting some stuff at her apartment, and I'm doing stuff at mine, and we're going to put them together. So there's a few people who are helping me out from afar. But right now, a lot of it is on me, and it takes longer, and it's tough. But it's fun. I enjoy the process.
And then the editing, do you do the editing?
Yeah.
Okay, wow. Yeah. Okay. What
I
do you
love
use for
editing,
that?
Actually.
Yeah, you do.
I love it. So I'm using iMovie mostly, especially if I want to get it done in a flash, I'll do iMovie because it's so idiot proof. Like it can be difficult. If you don't know what you're doing, it can be difficult, but it's really quick and you just move things around. But I did use Premiere Pro for Through the Storm, and I will be using it for the rest of this album. So yeah, I love that part of it actually. I'm about to edit Take My Picture, and it's gonna be fun.
Okay, so I just had a question popping up here in the screen. Mm-hmm. I don't know who asked this, but whatever. I'm gonna make it for them. So they had a question about, have you wrote, est-ce que tu as écrit une chanson en français? Déjà, est-ce que tu as publié une chanson en français? Je suis pas sûr.
Non, j'ai pas publié, mais j'ai écrit une chanson, peut-être 2 en français. Ouais, et c'était toujours en français. Oh non, j'avais écrit une chanson en anglais, mais c'était pas bon. Je trouvais que les paroles,
en anglais, en français.
Alors, premièrement, je l'ai écrit en anglais, puis ça me dit il racontait pas une histoire ou quelque chose. Les paroles étaient pas bonnes ou il me parlait pas, tu sais. Puis ensuite, j'ai pensé, peut-être je pourrais essayer en français. Donc, j'ai pas tout arraché, mais j'ai comme traduit un petit peu les mots en français, et c'était comme, là, it should have been in French, you know, like.
Ouais.
Mais non, j'aimerais bien, et en plus, en Take My Picture, il y a quelques paroles en français, donc j'aime ça, ajouter quelque chose en français quand je peux. Et j'ai écrit de la poésie en français, mais à date, non, j'ai pas publié quelque chose en français, mais je pense que ça s'en vient.
Ça s'en vient, ok, ça s'en vient. Donc, pour les francophones, ça s'en vient des chansons en français.
Ouais.
D'Erica. Est-ce que tu as noté une différence pour toi quand tu écris en français? Est-ce que ça, ou même quand tu parles? Parce que je trouve que, pour moi-même, je trouve qu'il y a une personnalité différente qui sort quand on parle en français ou en anglais. Et je trouve peut-être qu'il y a la même chose aussi pour l'art, pour le chant. Est-ce que tu es d'accord avec ça?
Différence quand je chante en français ou je chante en anglais?
Oui, en termes de composition, puis en termes aussi de personnalité de la personne. Disons, moi-même qui parle en anglais ou en français, je trouve que c'est pas la même personne quand même.
Ouais, un petit
c'est
peu.
un peu bizarre.
Un petit peu. Ouais, moi tout, je pense, parce que quand je parle en français, des fois, je suis un peu comme, like, oh non, est-ce que je vais dire les bons mots et tout ça? Like, est-ce que je vais faire des erreurs grammatiques ou whatever? Donc, il y a un peu plus de ça qu'en anglais, parce que c'est pas ma première langue, c'est pas ma langue maternelle. Donc, ouais, un petit peu, mais je ne sais pas, je devrais demander à mes amis francophones pour ça. mais en composition, probablement oui. Parce que je ne sais pas si je pourrais faire les mêmes, blagues, les mêmes gestes, parce que je suis pas vraiment intelligente en français, je crois. Mon sens d'humeur, c'est vraiment pas, c'est pas la même, ou je n'arrive pas parce que c'est pas ma langue maternelle, quelque chose comme ça. Je sais pas. Mais peut-être je suis plus sérieuse en français quand j'écris des affaires. Mais on verra. On
verra ça. Qu'est-ce que...
Mais c'était drôle parce que j'ai fait un film, un petit film court, un film court, Cool. L'année passée, ou ça fait 2 ans, à Paris. Ça s'appelle À Paris, en fait. Puis j'avais écrit une poème, la poésie en français. Puis j'allais à Paris avec mes parents. Donc je me disais, peut-être je pourrais faire un petit film de ça. Et c'était vraiment genre, petit film. I don't know how you say that, but like,
Homemade, comme à la maison.
ouais, mais like that takes itself too seriously. Genre à la fin, c'est écrit fin. Tu sais, c'est vraiment ça. Comme like, je suis trop sérieuse. Je suis à Paris, puis like c'est vraiment.
Parce que c'est la nature française, c'est toujours ça fait mal, toujours ça va mal.
Je suis constamment déprimée. C'est vraiment ça. Mais j'écris des chansons de même en anglais, c'est sûr. Mais oui, donc j'ai fait ça. Je l'ai jamais publié. On peut pas le voir maintenant, mais je trouvais ça un peu drôle que like mon premier cours, like film cours, c'était en français.
Ah. OK. Donc, maintenant, je voulais peut-être, vu qu'on commence à être long dans le temps, OK, tu as un commentaire par rapport au français, en fait, de
Ok.
Dino, un des chanteurs de Corona Serena, de mon collègue à la job. Il a dit qu'il y a quelque chose dans l'accent de chanteuse anglaise qui est charmant pour un francophone. Pas grave, il dit, pas grave l'intelligence, c'est les feelings qui parlent.
Ah, ben là, c'est trop vrai. Puis on adore ça. Ben, les francophones, on adore les feelings. Non, ouais, c'est vrai. Oh, mais ça, c'est nice. Oui, moi, le chant, l'opéra français, c'est like, vraiment mon préféré pour moi.
Oui. Ah oui, vraiment.
J'adore chanter en français, donc je pense que c'est naturel que que je fais des choses, quelque chose en français.
Oui. Ben, particulièrement, l'affaire, c'est que tu as eu la chance, ben, moi aussi avec, de chanter dans les dialogues des Carmélites. Je veux dire, je pense, on parle pas assez des dialogues des Carmélites, à mon opinion, dans le monde de l'opéra. C'est toujours la bohème, I don't know, Puccini, beaucoup de Verdi. Mais vraiment, je crois que les dialogues des Carmélites, dans l'histoire de l'opéra, c'est au moins un top 5. Honnêtement. C'est un opéra d'un pouvoir incroyable. Moi, je me rappelle, je faisais à un moment donné, je faisais 2 rôles là-dedans, mais à un moment donné, je faisais le rôle à la fin des gars qui viennent, les militaires qui viennent pour couper la tête à toutes les chanteuses.
Mm-hmm.
Puis à la Salve Regina, je veux dire, le moment le plus intense de cet opéra. Et peut-être un des moments les plus intenses d'opéra de tout le temps. Hein.
Je suis complètement d'accord.
Et puis, ça me gêne un petit peu de dire ça, mais en même temps, c'est pour dire quel pouvoir a cet opéra. J'ai vraiment senti cette force, puis cet aspect machiavélique de couper les têtes. J'étais vraiment comme, yeah, on va couper les têtes. Oh. Vraiment, je me sens...
Je suis pas capable.
Je me suis senti
dans ton personnage.
J'étais dans mon personnage, puis je me suis senti à un moment donné comme ça, puis je me suis pris à penser, okay, oh my God, Adrian.
Wow là.
Comme, wow là, qu'est-ce que... tu sais, t'es-tu sérieux là? C'est quoi ton problème? Mais juste pour dire à quel point la musique t'apporte, à quel point c'est fort cet opéra. Et oui, d'accord avec toi pour l'opéra français. Et ben ça, il y a Carmen toujours, il y a des autres opéras. Je sais pas s'il y a des autres opéras que tu voudrais recommander aux gens en français, en fait.
Ben, ouais, tout le monde aime Carmen déjà, c'est compris. Moi, j'aimerais, ça c'est comme mon dream role, like, de faire, parce que c'est tellement dans ma voix. Oh, je voulais tellement faire ça. Mais, on a fait aussi Péléas et Mélisande, puis ça c'était vraiment...
C'est vrai,
c'est pas tout le monde qui aime ça, mais moi je trouve que c'est tellement beau, c'est tellement calme la plupart du temps. C'est vraiment calme, c'est vraiment zen, c'est vraiment introspectif. Whatever, Debussy, obviously. So, Puis à part de ça, juste, je pense que, like, maçonner. Parce que moi, j'adore les tunes, là.
Ah,
Donc,
ouais.
puis maçonner, c'est comme juste les tunes, puis j'adore ça.
Comment en fermant les yeux. Ben,
Oh, ça, c'est
moi, c'est le
tellement
genre de
beau.
personne, je connais tous les trucs de ténor, le reste, non, ça n'existe pas. Donc, je pense toujours les tunes, c'est les ténors.
Non, mais j'adore ce tune-là, c'est tellement beau. My
En fermant
God.
les yeux,
Ouais.
non.
Et il y a non, mais c'est quoi le tune?
Averter.
Pourquoi me réveiller?
Oui.
Ben là, c'est tellement beau.
Oui.
Puis il y a tellement d'émotions là-dedans. Moi, je suis vraiment pas une fan de faire des opéras en traduction, genre on les fait, les opéras en français, on les performe, on les donne en anglais. Moi, je pense que, moi, je trouve des fois que ça manque quelque chose, puis, mais c'est vrai que si vous avez l'émotion dans la voix, puis dans la performance, c'est correct.
Ça passe.
Ça passe.
Ça passe. Donc, je voulais te demander, en fait, par rapport maintenant que tu parles du rôle de Carmen, que c'est un rôle que tu voudrais... peut-être que il faut jamais dire jamais ou quoi. Donc, peut-être un jour, qui sait. Alors, je me demandais, c'est quoi ton opinion de ce personnage de Carmen? Est-ce qu'il s'agit d'un opéra féministe dans le cas? Et comment tu interpréterais ça, ce rôle-là, à différence d'autres que tu as vus?
J'hésite à dire que c'est un opéra féministe ou que c'est un personnage féministe parce que on la voit à travers les yeux des hommes, right?
Ouais,
mais,
good point.
mais parce que c'est une femme vraiment forte, elle fait ce qu'elle veut, mais elle est aussi comme un peu de diable pour les gars parce que ça, c'est comme la pire femme que tu peux avoir comme un homme. Tu sais? Elle fait pas ce que tu veux. Elle est manipulative. Elle t'écoute pas. Like, c'est vraiment comme... On peut dire que c'est féministe parce que dans un endroit où les hommes sont vraiment in command, like,
Ouais.
une voix de femme comme ça qui fait ce qu'elle veut et c'est vraiment révolutionnaire. Mais en même temps, je trouve que c'est vraiment juste like la pire femme pour un homme et c'est comme fait plutôt comme ça parce que spoiler alert, elle se fait tuer à la fin là par un gars qui n'en pouvait plus.
Mais les gars, il faut dire aussi, les gars aussi, il est un peu, je dirais, on dirait qu'ils se sont vraiment les esprits similaires se rencontrent parce que Don José aussi c'est pas une personne très saine puis très
Non, pas du tout. Il est comme le pire, like, c'est vraiment pire. Ouais, parce que non, mais lui aussi il fait ce qu'il veut de temps en temps aussi, comme il a une femme ou presque. Puis il le laisse tomber pour Carmen, donc c'est comme ouais, c'est vraiment pas fait pour eux-mêmes, là. Des bagages que les deux ont, non.
Oui, c'est ça. Donc maintenant, si on bouge un peu du côté opéra, comme vous savez, I'm gonna switch to English now because I wanted to speak about her new release, which is in English, and it's an original song called
It's called
distracted myself.
It's called Take My Picture.
Take My Picture. So this is a new release from Erica, the new single, and I think we're ready to listen to it and maybe get comments from people, see how you liked it, and what comments do you have or any questions do you have related to the single. I already listened to it once, and yeah, there's this melodic aspect, and there's also the double. You have a double bass there. I was wondering before we go to listen to it, like how do you manage a double Is it like a virtual instrument or something like that?
Yeah.
What, really?
Yeah. It sounds okay, right?
Sounds great. Yeah. I was
there's a
oh
few
no, now she plays double bass.
there's a few instruments where if you're using like a synthesizer or whatever to make them happen, they sound so obviously not a real instrument.
Yeah.
But some of them you can get away with, and the double bass is one of them.
And this was programmed, like you actually had to program the notes, or
yeah. So you can, I think. Oh gosh, I can't remember just now if I played it or there. Anyways, it's a pattern of notes, and then I plugged in which chord I wanted to play here, and then it'll just sort of adjust and.
Yeah, and then of course there's the trombone part that I think that's a real one though.
Yes, that's real trombones because my parents are trombone players.
So how that happened? How did you manage to collaborate? You in England, them here in Canada. You went back and forward with the audio file. How?
So actually, I'm always thinking ahead, and Take My Picture I wrote at least a year ago, and I had the foresight to one of the last times I was visiting my parents. Remember when you could visit people? The last time I visited them, I said, let's try and record these tracks because I don't know when I'm going to release them. Like I think I had the idea to release a lot of these songs that I'm releasing now. I wanted to release them last year, but I wasn't going to have the music videos ready to do it. I didn't have the time. So I recorded it live with them when we were together.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm really glad that I did because they could still do it now, but we were happy with how it turned out, so we didn't.
So you had the song ready already like a year ago? What was it?
This one, besides a couple of vocal things, this one didn't change that much actually.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a few that I would have been finalized. Like some of them are not ready yet, like they're still being worked out and things, but this is one of the ones that I was fairly certain of. I did change a little bit the double bass, but besides that, like this was something that I wanted to release last summer and I couldn't, so I'm happy it's out now.
Okay, great. So let's go listen to that again, the new single from Erica Lee Martin.
Take my picture, I'm gonna make it better, I'm gonna make it better. Come on and take my picture, come on and take my picture. The sun is shining brightly over the sea, salt in the air, wind in my hair, your eyes on me. My t-shirt's niche, jewels pastiche, singing the blues. You're in the right mood, there's nothing to lose. There's not left to do but point and to shoot. And how can you have the blues today with the fish in the sea and the lighthouse so near? She's looking for love, I look down the lens and give her a serenade. Come on and take my picture, I'm gonna make it better, I'm gonna make it better. Come on and take my picture, come on and take my picture. Now I'll pretend I'm the queen of hearts, love on my lips, my teasing quips while she asks me to pose. Everyone loves a good snap on the beach, new profile pic, a bit eccentric, sense memories. You're in the right mood, there's nothing to lose. There's not left to do but point and shoot. And how can you have the blues today with the fish picture. I'm gonna make it better. I'm gonna make it better. Come on and take my picture. Come on and take my picture.
Okay, so now I'm muted, I think. Hi. So that was Erica Lee Martin with her latest release. Again, I forget the names today. I'm like, I didn't sleep enough, I think.
You've got too much stuff on your plate right now. Take My Picture is the song.
Take My Picture. Great. I love that was some badass trombones.
I know.
I want more trombone.
Spoiler alert, there is more trombones. There are more trombones in the rest of the album. So
oh my god, I just love brass. Like I don't know if you know this about me, but I had a Latin band back 10 years ago or something like that, and that was my favorite thing about a Latin band. Is like just trumpets going crazy, and the trombones. We actually managed to have in a show like a 5-piece brass band, and it was just crazy.
Yeah, it's just the best. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that metallic sound, I just love it. So a great song, and I like a lot the arrangements for this one.
Oh, good, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if you thought it differently, or I don't know than others, but I particularly like the arrangements here. It's like very, I don't know, there's something different.
I think maybe maybe it appeals to you just because you were saying that you had this Latin band. Like maybe it's that because the drums are very like Latin influenced. So I think plus the trombones. I think it's very fun. It's this song is just meant to be fun. So I picked very positive sounding beats and.
And what is the song about? Because honestly, the beginning I listened to it. This is very very blunt. Excuse me if it's borderline rude, but I hear at the beginning, come on, take my picture, and I'm like, oh, this is annoying, you know?
It's meant to be annoying. So, okay. No, okay, good. So it's meant to sound like a cheerleader.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So when I wrote this last year, I was like, I liked that idea, and I was like, and I was annoyed by it. I thought, should I really put this in? And then once the production started like getting that ball rolling, I started to realize what I was doing, and I was doing a sort of cheerleader section or a call and return. Maybe it shouldn't be at the beginning, but whatever. It is what it is now, and it is meant to be sort of like a cheerleader. And believe me, the voice was more annoying than how it. Like at first, I was doing, "Come on, take my picture," and I was like, "Oh, I hate it," and so I changed it. To be like a bored, it sounds more of a bored cheerleader right now. But yeah, it's
bored. What?
I know, like
that's how bored cheerleaders sound.
The worst cheerleader ever. So now this song is about it's just a moment in time. It's just a tableau. Rather than telling a whole long story, it's just a moment in time when things are all right and things are, and you're happy, and you know, it's a bit sexy, I suppose. It's a bit, you know, fun in the sun, and you want to go out on the town. It's a little bit of that kind of feeling, but it's meant to just sort of be snapshots of emotions, hence Take My Picture, I guess. And also, I've been thinking more about it, especially because of the music video, the idea of, you know, take my picture, I'm going to make it better. And this idea of, you know, what we were saying about social media, you know, how everyone's beautiful on Instagram. I think it's sort of like the idea, if you take my picture, things are going to be better. If there's, you know,
I don't know if you watched this video. I don't know why I'm thinking of this, but it makes me think of a video that the punk band Blink-182 made about the Backstreet Boys. So I see a video like that happening, you know, like kind of a parody of Instagram. But I don't know. That's just
Yeah,
That's
I
just
think,
an idea.
I think that's kind of, it's almost what I'm going for. It's a little bit real life, a little bit not real life. You know, it's as a lot of videos are. I think music videos, certainly mine. I like to walk the line between. I always say I'm a songwriter of the silly and the serious. So I like things to be really beautiful, but also really stupid. Like I like things to be a little bit silly and frivolous and jokey, because I think it's very me, you know. I'm a sarcastic person. I take, there's several things I take very seriously, but there's a lot of stuff I'm very flippant about, and so I like to make music that reflects my personality, I suppose, or the different facets of my personality.
Yeah. So listen, Erica, I think it's been great till now, and I wanted to close the show a little bit with you telling us how to, you know, it's important to support artists, and if you like Erica's art, if you like her music, how can we go about that? Where can we go? And yeah, different ways of supporting, not necessarily just with money, but money is good, you know, we have to eat. So
money is great sometimes. Most of the time I hate money. I'm like, oh, why do I always need money? I would say, yes, money is great, but community support is so, I would say, even more important at this stage for a budding artist. So yeah, if you would like to follow me on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, it's at Erica Lee Martin on all those, in those three platforms. So following, liking page is an excellent way of supporting me. Sharing my stuff, if you watch a video and you listen to a song and you really like it, tell your friends. Word of mouth goes a really long way. You know, if you like making playlists, add my song to your playlist. I don't know, just, you know, get those algorithms up. That's the way you can support me without necessarily spending money. If you do want to spend money, you can spend as little as $1 actually and support me on Patreon. So I have a few patrons right now and I love them dearly. I'm so happy to have them. And they're, you know, friends and family chiefly, but really just anyone who likes my music can join for as little as $1 per creation. So either per song or per music video that I release. It's like you're pledging that much money per creation. And it's just a way of you know, giving a little bit of financial support. And the other way, of course, is to if you want, for Patreon, by the way, it's patreon.com/Erica Lee Martin, but you can find that on my website too. But also, yeah, if you want to buy albums, you can do that on Bandcamp. You can do it on, you know, Apple Music or wherever you listen to your music. A lot of them you can, you know, pay for the albums. That's a great way to do it. But yeah, I think just if you see something that you like, let me know, you know, tweet me or whatever, share it with your friends. I think that's the sort of the best way, because I love to hear stories of, you know, this spoke to me. If it did speak to you, you know, tell me. I love to hear those things. It makes me feel like I'm part of a real community. So
right.
Or join my live streams. What I'm going to do for this album, I don't have a release date yet for it, but it will be in the fall probably. I'm going to do a little bit of the instant gratification, like we were talking about, of releasing, you know, one single every month or so for a while before doing the whole album. But my plan is to do a sort of a virtual launch party. So like kind of like what I did for the patio, where I do a live stream, but rather than doing a live stream, I'm going to premiere what will be a visual album. So this is the first anyone's really hearing about this publicly, but I'm going to, basically every song on the album is going to have a video attached to it that I'm currently making.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So if you would like to come to that, just, you know, follow me on social media and you'll see when I announce what day it's going to be. And you'll be able to join probably on Facebook or YouTube.
All right. Great. So thanks, Erica, for dedicating this Sunday afternoon for you, for me in the morning here in Canada and in England. And thanks everybody for tuning in. We could still answer some questions if you like. If not, I'm Don Adriano and this is la Scena Tête. Merci tout le monde. Et voilà, c'était le programme aujourd'hui avec Erica Lee Martin.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been really, really nice to talk,
Oui,
especially talking about opera and stuff. It's been a while.
it's been a while. Yes, yes. And I'll invite everybody if they like this program to either support us at La Scena Musicale with a donation, or you can, well, just like Erica said, you can like our stuff, you can share it, and you can also check the podcast version that I'm making for these programs. It's available on Spotify, it's available on iTunes and Buzzsprout as well. And you can also go to our website, myscena.org, or in French is mascena.org. Là-bas, we have tons of articles relating classical music, jazz, and the arts in Canada. Right now, with the COVID situation, we have really made an effort to look at the magic ball and see what's going to happen. We're trying to predict what's going to happen. We're trying to be part of a solution. Actually, there's right now there's a sondage that you can fill up there in the website to see a little bit, to calculate the prospects of going back and doing shows, and what and how the public feels about that. It's from a public standpoint of view. So I invite you to, Erica, go there and try to fill that sondage. We'll be publishing the results from the sondage, I think, in 2 months. And hopefully it helps us to better seize the problematic and communicate that with different players of the particular Montreal and Canada music scene, and try to come up with solutions to see if we can start more and more doing live shows again, you know.
That would be nice.
Yeah. Donc merci tout le monde. Voici la scène à tête à tête. Je suis Don Adriano. Et bon, à mercredi prochain, l'autre mercredi, on sera de retour avec la soprano québécoise Chantal Dion. Aujourd'hui, on était avec Erica Lee Martin. Merci Erica, et puis merci tout le monde, et bonne journée.
Merci.